www.stepsontheroad.org, Suicide Prevention, Choose Life. Join the funky people, stay with the funky people. Step number 3 on, or stepping stone number 3, if you choose the stream image on stepsontheroad.org, is a concept that we know very little. Now, why is that a stepping stone, or what do I mean by we know very little? I worked for a while on a suicide hotline, taking phone calls and listening to people. And you form the impression after a while that people are pressed down by the condemnation from others. That a lot of people feel inadequate, inferior, they're a drag on other people, and you feel they're like under this big thumb of condemnation by people who know everything. In fact, I think we know very, very little. But I think there's an awful lot of people running around this planet who portray themselves as being founts of knowledge and who are tending to be very judgmental. Television's full of them, news is full of them, politicians are full of them, tremendous amount of narcissism, people that, look at me, I'm great, I know everything. I think that's a lot of bogus. If you read some of my stories and chapter stories, under stepping stone number 3, I actually list a bunch of hyperlinks to stories that I've written. And I think you'll get a sense very, very quickly that my view, for what it's worth, not a lot, is that we know very little. We really know very, very, very little. I'm very leery and nervous of people who know it all, whether it be economics, politics or religion. I'm very nervous of people that come along and tell me, oh, this is the way it works, God does this, God does that, God does the other, then this, then that, then the other, you do this, you're saved, if you don't do this, you're not saved, you go to hell. What the hell do you know? I'm very, very leery of all that. Now, why should that be a suicide prevention stepping stone? I think because it allows for mystery. If you can kind of attune yourself to the mystery of what's going on, the unknown, life becomes incredibly fascinating. I wrote a story, a very, very true story, about being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean one night, just looking at the stars. It's called Starry, Starry Night, and there's a hyperlink to that story on step number 3. And that's just one of many stories I wrote that I think if you read it honestly, you'll pick up on that mystery that I feel, that awe, the unknown. And for me, that's a powerful stepping stone to really want to stay alive and drink the cup dry, because I'm fascinated as to what's really going on. I'm fascinated to the meaning of life. I'm fascinated in what's out there. To me, people come along and they're full of judgment and they're full of condemnation. We live in an incredibly judgmental society. I kind of, in my mind, I'll say yes, no, but in my mind I'm kind of blowing them off, It amuses me. I think a good stepping stone is to accept that we human beings know very little. It's like we're in a dark room and some kind soul is lifting just the tip of the curtain. There's this little chink of light coming in, and we're beginning to kind of go, wow, what's out there? This is really interesting, what's actually going on? And I've written a lot about that. My Red Dust Stories, The Little Bird Flew Over Sleigh Head, Starry, Starry Night, Beauty in the Wind. If you read that, I think you'll sense that I do not know it all. I am perfectly happy to confess that I know very little. I'm curious, I'm interested, my mind is kind of groping to figure out what the heck's going on, But I'm very leery and very suspicious of people that know everything. The world is just full of them. And I think some of our religious leaders do a lot more harm than good. They come along, and I talk about some of my stories. I talk about God in a box. You know, they have this little matchbox, and that's where they've got their God, and their God must be a very small God, because they totally understand this God. God does this, 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 and this, and then he does this, this, and then you do this, you're saved. You don't do that, you know, you're not saved. You go to hell, and you feel like saying, "Where's your God?" And it's almost like they could pull him out of their back pocket and show you this little matchbox. You know, here he is. That it's a very small God. Imagine for 1 second that there was a compassionate creator. I call it the great cosmic kindness, a great cosmic awareness. Then that awareness would be so much higher than us. We don't have a hope in hell of understanding exactly how all that works. And it's kind of arrogant and conceited for men to say, God does this, God does that, then he does this, then he thinks that. What? Hey, listen to yourself. You know, you make me laugh. We know nothing. If you approach life from that point of view, that we know very, 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 very little, I think it can open your mind to the awesome experience of life. It can open your mind to the mystery of the universe. I mean, right now there's radio waves flying through us. We don't know anything about those radio waves. We can't see them or taste them. Yeah, we can measure and pick them up on the radio or whatever, or on our cell phones. But you can't see them. How much more is going on around us that we just don't have a clue? I was reading an article about Einstein's theories, that so many of his theories of relativity and time, they were theories, and then they managed to prove them with scientific methods. So then they became science fact as far as we understand it, but there's still a lot more. That I believe that in Einstein's theory there is a possibility of multiple dimensions that has yet to be proven, but mathematically it's possible. God knows what's going on around us. I prefer the approach to life that we know very little. And if we do that, we can put our mind open, our hearts open, our input open to what the heck is going around us. It comes partly under the heading of curiosity. I'm massively curious. I'm really interested in what's going on out there. I'm trying to figure things out. I love reading, I love talking to people, I love listening to people and having different points of view. And I've always enjoyed different philosophies, different religions. I'm very nervous calling myself anything. My father was originally Protestant, became a Catholic to marry my mother. My mother was a Catholic. But I enjoyed Buddhist poetry, so I've been very leery to call myself anything. Don't stick a label on me. You know, don't call me any of those human denominations. You know, I'm a seeker. If you want to call me a seeker, yeah, I'm happy. I'll be a seeker all day long. That's a label I like. But any other label, I get nervous. Why are you sticking a label on me? Because I don't necessarily, you know, ascribe to any of those theories. To me, a good stepping stone is to accept that we know very little. We're seekers, we're pilgrims. We actually live and think and grope in a dark room. We're kind of vaguely aware of this enormity of light out there, and somebody's lifting just the tip of the curtain, a little chink of light coming in, and we're like, wow, what else is, you know, beyond that curtain? What else is out there? Another way of looking at that is we know very little. I love the concept of the cardboard box. If I took a cardboard box and put it over my head, cut two little holes for my eyes, I could declare my universe that cardboard box, and I am the master of that universe. Well, you'd laugh at me if I was walking around with a cardboard box on my head, two little holes for my eyes, and saying, this is my universe, and I totally understand it, and I'm in charge of that universe. You'd laugh at me, you'd think I was certifiable. But there's a point there that is actually what a lot of people do. I think an awful lot of people go through life convinced that they can it all. They know it. They know about economics, they know about politics. Everybody else is wrong. They know about religion. There is a God, there isn't a God. If there is a God, he does this, you know. They know everything. Well, hang on a second. how are you going to learn if you feel that you know everything? How are you going to learn if you don't have a degree of hunger that you don't know what's out there? How you need to predispose yourself to learning by saying, hey, I know very little. Now your mind is open, you're listening, your spirit is open, you know, your heart is open, as it were, to feeling what's going around there. If you're so conceited and so arrogant that you think you know it all, how are you going to learn? It doesn't make sense to me. To me, stepping stone number 3 is a very good stepping stone. We know very little. Stay around, hang around, all kinds of interesting stuff, you know, of which we only have a very small glimpse of. And you'll see that in a lot of my stories. Stepping stone number 3, suicide prevention. Choose life, stay with us. You know, life is very, very interesting. We have a huge amount to learn, despite what they all say, all those people who are sitting in judgment of you, who are condemning you, who know it all from the exalted heights of their great wisdom. Basically, good luck to them. Stay alive.